I had a conversation with a boy named Washington. He was 17 years old and he'd been living in the street for 10 years. Out of those 10 years, he had been in prison for almost 2 years. He said when he was in prison that older boys raped him. He said that when he was in prison, the police beat him till he thought he was going to die. Last year, 461 street children were murdered, were killed. In Sao Paulo alone, one city, 461 children were killed. 1,200 were killed nationwide. Killed as a result of violence and gangs, violence by the police, and violence by death squads. This information I got out of the national newspaper, published in Sao Paulo.
Agora acabou essas participações.
Right now I'm at the Center for the National Movement to Protect Street Children here in Belo Horizonte. Over the last couple of years, the government has made a real effort to try and help these street children. Now in this country, Brazil, there are between 7 and 8 million street children. 2 years ago, they passed an act in government. They passed a constitutional law giving street children a few basic rights. First of all, they have the right to a nationality. Now they have a right to an education. They have a right to a place to play. They have a right to equality. They have a right to a great many things that I've always taken for granted. They've only gained this right in the last year or two. Also, according to this act, according to this act, these children now have the right to a name, something they never had before. Homeless children without a family, a place to live, or a name. Hopefully things are improving. That's Bebeto on the left, and Adriana on the right, and this is Cheyenne here. It's Adriana's daughter, and Adriana is Bebeto's girlfriend, and Adriana is pregnant again, this time with Bebeto's baby. She's about 15 or 16 years old. I asked her how old she was and she said 12, but I don't believe her. She's expecting her baby in about a month, and she's come to the center here looking for help. I think it's going to be very difficult for them. I know it'll be difficult. We just came out of the center here for the street children, and these guys had a couple of chickens. Eric asked them where they got them, and I guess they stole them. They're going to go eat them. What'd you say they're going to do with them, Dorf?
Well, he told me that the chickens were bought across the street, but they weren't. They were stolen. He said they're going to cook them, clean them, and eat them. I'd say these two chickens are in big trouble.
One of the little boys just told me that they have 3 alternatives if they want to survive. First is to beg, the second is to steal, and the third is to work. Street children don't really stand much of a chance of getting a job though, so they have to beg or steal to survive. There was a lot of violence within the bands, within the gangs of these street children. This guy was pushed off the roof of a building. It was only 2 stories, but it did a lot of damage to him. He's hurting pretty bad. Came in today to the Center for the National Movement for Street Children, and they've been able to give him some first aid, luckily. Oi, ¿cómo se llama?
Fábio.
Fabio. ¿Cuántos años você tem? 14. This is Fabio, and he's 14 years old. ¿Cuántos años você mora em Rua?
Três.
3. He's lived in the streets for 3 years now. These kids just came off the street. This little boy's name is Vandele. He's 13 years old. I just asked him how long he's been living on the street. He said he didn't know. But he took his shoe off to show me something. The authorities don't allow street children to enter buses, so they have no way to get from one side of town to the next. Most of the time, these children just grab onto the bumpers and hold. They hold onto the rails, whatever they can grab, and ride on the outside of the bus. Well, Vandele fell off, got ran over by the omnibus. He's not sure how long it happened, when it happened, or how long ago it was. But he's never going to walk right again. At 5 o'clock, this place closes down. It's almost 5 o'clock. These kids will all have to leave. They have to go back out on the streets and fend for themselves. Almost 8 million children are left homeless in the streets of Brazil. Almost 8 million children live in a world of cruel violence and drugs and rape. 461 children were killed in Sao Paulo alone last year, over 1,200 nationally. It really hits you hard. We gathered information from this video from talking with children who live in the streets and talking with people at the National Movement to Support Street Children here in Belo Horizonte. We also gathered our information from national newspapers like this one, and from books like this one written by Gibraltar Demstein. The title of this book is War on Children.
Se Deus quiser, tudo vai dar pé. Tudo vai dar pé. Tudo vai dar pé. Tudo vai dar pé. No woman, no cry. Menina, não chore assim, não. No, woman, no cry. No, nobody will cry. Menina, não chore assim. No, no chore, no cry. Bravo! Não?